Réalisateur du cultissime Torque, surtout connu pour son travail de clipper, notamment sur Without Me d'Eminem ou encore Toxic de Britney Spears, Joseph Kahn revient cette année à la réalisation avec Detention, sorte de revisitation sous adrénaline des teenage movies qui ont fait la gloire des années 80. Le film est disponible en DVD et Blu-ray depuis peu de temps et nous avons eu l'occasion de rencontrer Joseph Kahn en octobre dernier durant le PIFFF, le Paris International Fantastic Film Festival.
There's 4 things in Hollywood you shouldn't do. 1 is work with children, 2, work with animals, 3, put your own money in a movie, and 4, work with the director of Twerk. And this movie has all of that.
I just mean that it looks like Clapton's gonna ask out Ione, which makes about as much sense as that stupid movie Twerk.
It took us 3 years to write it. Probably about a year just to come up with the story, a year to write it, and a year to revise it. And then I was sitting around and thinking maybe I should make this myself instead of going through a studio. Because I like the idea of having no one give me any interruptions on any level. And so I thought, okay, it's very risky, but there's a way to do this. So I actually came up with the idea on a train ride, and then a month and a half later, we were shooting. Like literally from the minute I said I'm gonna make it, I prepped it, I casted it, I location scouted, I did everything in a month and a half, and we shot it over the next 2 months, and then finished it over the next couple months, and here we are.
Your iPod, salad eater.
Life sucks. Forget about genocide, poverty, and political corruption. What could possibly be on my girl mind other than prom?
Who gave Riley the permission to have the hots for Clapton?
What does the future hold for Clapton Davis?
If you're gonna get your limbs ripped off by the school gorilla, find a more worthy charity than Ione.
When you make a movie, as opposed to like other art forms, if you're like a painter, you can do a million paintings before anyone sees it. You know, when you make a film and you do it for a studio, everybody sees whatever you do, whether you're ready or not. That said, I defend my first movie. I don't think it's a terrible movie. I think there's a lot of good stuff in there. I honestly do, and I'm honestly proud of it as a first movie. The only problem is that it's 70% of what I wanted it to be, and that to me means passing. You know, like, but you know, in my world, in my mind, I don't like 70%. I want 100%. You know, so the studio system lets the director be a director for 70%, which is great and works for most films. But I think the ambition that I have for the type of movies I want to make, I can't do 70%. You know, I have to do 100. So I don't see this movie as revenge on the studio or anything like that. I see it as it's my only way to get to 100% by spending my own money.
Thank God that's not me.
Ione is an old soul trapped in a very painfully hot cheerleader body.
Captain Davis, you're more concept than reality.
Your classmate, Taylor Fisher, was murdered in her bedroom this morning.
I was just attacked.
Sure you were, honey.
You know, having been in the music video business for 20 years, I've definitely seen how technology changes. You know, from everything from as a simple thing as how people access their music videos. It used to be on MTV, then next you know it's on YouTube, you know, and next thing you know it's on people's phones, the way people look at things. Yeah, the entire concept of how technology and media changes in people's eyes from generation to generation is something I'm hyper aware of. And I think one of the things that I notice more than anything is the speed of how people process information. Like one of the things about this movie is that it's edited on a certain level like a YouTube clip, in that a YouTube clip isn't really played in a theater, it's played at home. In a movie theater, you sort of like air it out and let the audience laugh. I kind of went with the YouTube version of it. So this movie's very dense, and it doesn't really give you a chance to laugh. But I think, you know, later on, you can watch it at home and laugh at your own time. But that was one of the things that I did to sort of cater and play to the way I think media plays today.
Are you guys accusing me of something?
There's a killer in Grizzly Lake who is affiliated with people at my school. Detention is in the library. It goes from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. That's right through prom.
I feel like people that are in their 30s or late 20s or 30s or 40s will see one side of the movie, which it seems very like if they see this character we're talking about 1990 stuff, they'll go, oh, it sounds hip, right? Someone that's 17 will hear some of these references and go, what is she talking about, you know? So I think there's 2 ways to view the movie. Like a young person sees all this weirdness happening, an older person sees like retro like memories. And I was very conscious that it felt like a 2011 movie. Now, the movie's going to get released in 2012, so there's a time crunch as to how relevant it is in terms of clothing and music and fashion. And I want it to be very, very specific now, because I feel like a lot of times when you watch movies by studios, they sort of make very generic eras so that they feel like they can sell that movie for 5-7 years, so that like anybody can listen to it and everybody can watch it or whatever. But I wanted it to be very, very specific to 2011. 2 or 3 years from now, everybody will go, this is the most out of date movie ever. But I think 20 years from now, they'll go, oh, it's very retro and cool.
It can't be any of us. We're not anguished enough. Our generation has had no major struggles.
What about 9/11?
Afghanistan.
Katrina?
Heath Ledger. What? Too soon.
This attacker you're describing, Ms. Jones, sounds just like that horror film.
Cinderella.
Scream.
They always say that you should never make a kids movie for an R, but to be honest, I don't think the kids that are 16, 17 live in a PG-13 world. Like, there's a thing called the internet, and they're gonna look at porn, and they see their R-rated movies. Like, they see all this stuff. It's just this sort of like weird fantasy people have that 16, 15, 17-year-olds don't see this stuff. They do. They curse. They say the F word. So I designed it for an R because I wanted to be honest to that audience.
It's not the end of the world. It's just high school.
It was interesting. It was probably one of the hardest shoots I've ever done, but also the easiest, because the money was mine and I was running out of money constantly. Like part of the way, this wasn't like I just wrote a check. It's like I wrote a check and then I had to borrow money and then find money and then write a check and find more money. Like week by week I'd have to find $80,000 here or $50,000 there and stuff like that. And so for the benefit of the movie, I had to go run around. Like, it wasn't just a matter of like directing. It was like, being on camera, and then I was editing at the same time. So in between takes, like if I walked to an edit, right, and I took an extra minute, and I did that 60 times during the day, I lost an hour of shooting. An hour of shooting is like $10,000. So I would run. I would save that 60 minutes. I did whatever I could to like compress it down and get that hour, because that extra hour can equal 3 more shots, And so over a course of 52 days, that's 200 shots. So like I was running, I was just imagining things. At the end of the movie, I was exhausted. And it's the funniest thing too, because when I have this weird thing where I can get really, really sick, but I don't feel it while I'm sick, when I'm shooting. And then the minute I wrap something, I get sick. The minute I wrapped, I had a cough, I got sick, my body was down, and it was just like, it was now my body saying, okay, now you can be sick.
Who taught you how to make a snuff porno? Lady Gaga?
Well, I'm writing my next movie, but it's apparently I make a movie once every 8 years now, so I'll see you in 2020. But no, I'm doing a lot of commercials and music videos. Well, mostly commercials right now, because I still have to pay off this movie. A good chunk of this movie isn't paid for, so I have to go and work. So every dollar I make goes right back into the movie, and I'm going to do that until one of two things: either I make all my money and pay it off by doing a ton of work, or somehow the movie makes some money, and then I can write a check to people that I owe money to. So it's one or the other. The beautiful thing about investing with me is that it's a loan, So in most situations, if someone gives you $1, they gamble, and if it doesn't do anything, it goes me, you give me $1, I said I'm going to give you $1.07 back no matter what. So.
Et nous vous informons que la prochaine édition du PIFFF, le Paris International Fantastic Film Festival, se déroulera du 16 au 25 novembre au Gaumont Opéra à Paris. Notre coup de cœur DVD et Blu-ray du moment, c'est Perfect Sense, un magnifique film de David Mackenzie avec Ewan McGregor et Eva Green. Sur ce, nous vous laissons avec la bande-annonce. Je vous dis à bientôt et bon film.
There are men.
One day, son, you'll be in love. And you'll be miserable.
There are women.
I'm Michael, I work in the restaurant there.
Are you hungry?
There is hope.
I've met someone.
So what do you do when you're not eating?
There is darkness.
Incubation, very aggressive.
You can't smell anymore.
You can't smell anymore.
They don't even have time to give the disease a name.
There's over 100 reported cases in England, France, Italy, Spain.
Smell. All gone.
That's the disease. And then the loss of another sense.
You're just like all the others. I think it's okay to panic now. What should we do?